Hello, everyone. Uh-oh. Got a little bit of a bounce back here. Hold on. Good to know I can hear myself, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the forecast. We are finally seeing the last of that rain, and a lot of us are still expecting to see some cooler conditions going into the overnight hours. So, right now, our eastern communities just got that last wave of showers. What we're expecting overnight is that ice potential to kind of grow. What we're seeing is that some areas are dealing with pooling in the roadways, and even an opportunity for some of our areas that were hardest hit with some of that rain. We're going to continue to see a good deal of those areas seeing that roadway kind of become really just messy as we go into those morning hours. We're still getting schools calling in closures as we go about. I believe DeKalb County just came in. Schools are closed on Monday. Marshall County was earlier this afternoon. We've seen Muscle Shoals. I've heard Madison County schools, Scottsboro City schools. It's been one thing after another. There's been so many closures because we are starting to get an opportunity to look at these roadways. And that's what we're starting to see, a big change in that. So make sure you check out our website to see those closures and to make sure that roads near you aren't closed as well. We haven't seen any road closures, and I'll double check our weather chat, but I haven't seen any major closures just yet. I think a lot of our roads are just slick, wet. I just came in from around the area around the South Huntsville and even University Drive areas, and most of the roads have been they've been pretty slick for the most part. Now we are still seeing some reports of trees down in Lauderdale County due to ice. So this is a very widespread and almost I like the way that one of our South Alabama sister station put it. I like the way one of our meteorologists put it down there. She says that this forecast is not one size fit all. And that's definitely what we're looking at. We're seeing, of course, you have freezing rain coming through a couple of areas as we go through the western communities. And then we're also seeing flood warnings for Jackson, Madison, and Marshall. So all sorts of different things going on. We just want to make sure that everyone is making sure they are well aware of what's going on. And to note, we are also seeing I believe our city officials in Huntsville, Madison. I know they plan to do a briefing as we go into the afternoon hours. I think that's coming up at 3:30. So I'll do this and then a 3 o'clock to update you as things change, and then we'll stream that live here or wherever you watch our streams. We'll have that going there as well. So again, we're seeing that rain finally move out for a lot of us, but because we're seeing a lot of that runoff, it's been raining nonstop since it started last night. We haven't gotten much of a gap of dry weather until just recently. So our larger concerns is dealing with the temperatures dropping and also about an inch or so of rainfall coming in. We're going to deal with some runoff as we go into these evening hours. And that's why a lot of schools are starting to close as well. You'll notice right around 6:30, we will start to see a lot of our communities' temperatures dropping into those 20s. We're anticipating that we have enough time between now and then for our roads to dry out. But even still, like I mentioned, with areas that are dealing with some of the street flooding, or even some folks that are dealing with some of those areas that have pooling nearby, those may be those stretches of black ice that we'll see. So I want to make sure folks are keeping that on their mind, on the forefront of their minds as they make their plans for Monday morning. Let's see. I think we just got another close. Believe Lauderdale County. Yes, Lauderdale County schools closed. Thank you, Miss Lynn. So we're seeing a lot of schools that are making that closure. Those closure statements just kind of really rolling in as we go through the afternoon. Let me check. Let me see. I'm checking in on comments, making sure I get to everybody. The hill that connects from Union Grove to Huntsville. will it be safe to drive on that tomorrow morning? The thing that we're looking at right now is how these roads will play out overnight as we see these temperatures drop. So right now, roadways may just be slick, but some areas that are prone to freezing, and I would say some of our hill areas would be tough to drive through. And if you don't feel comfortable driving, by all means, stay home. And even still, we're seeing patchy black ice. So it may be in your best interest to err on the side of safety and stay put where you are for the time being. We'll see sunshine get back into the forecast for Monday. But as you see here on our hour by hour, wind speeds pick up and temperatures drop into the 20s, especially out in the west. So a lot of our western counties, we're looking at Lauderdale, Colbert County, a lot of those folks will start to deal with some patchy black ice. And it may be a little more widespread for them than it is on the eastern end of things. Because you'll notice that a lot of our communities on the eastern end still in those 30s, and Fort Payne just above freezing as we go into the evening hours. Late evening hours, though, we all start to fall into those 20s and seeing those teens around. And that's going to cause, again, that overnight freezing for those areas that still have a good deal of water on the roadway. And that's really just those areas that experience flooding or even pooling at the least. So we are considering all aspects of this at the moment, and that's what's being kind of making this a little tough to forecast as we go through the rest of our night, because we're trying to see how standing water runoff is going to go, as well as that overnight freeze. Will we see that runoff make its way off of our roadways? Driving through Memorial, there are several spots where water gets caught coming on and off the ramps. So that's one concern that I was paying attention to as I drove around. So again, this is really just a matter of seeing how things shape up, because this cold air could move in a touch sooner than we are anticipating. We want it to stay on the track that it is, but as we've been forecasting, some things have shifted around. All sorts of things can change, but right now what we're looking at is that our temperatures will fall into those 20s on our eastern end as we get later into the night. Our western communities and all those areas already have a lot of those freeze warnings. They've been warned about some of the roadways. They're seeing some of those trees down. They've already had those ice warnings going for a couple of, honestly, I think at this point it's been a little over 24 hours. They're still in the thick of it. We're expecting to see that go into late this evening. And even still, you can see they're in the teens before a lot of us around the midnight hour, and getting out the door for tomorrow morning, a little tough to come by. It's going to be chilly out the door. So I think that's another reason a lot of our schools are canceling as well, because you have students that wait outside for the bus, students that walk to school, that bike to school, skateboard if that's still a thing that students do. But all of that to say, it is unbearably cold outside to be outside for a long period of time, especially for us in this community where we're not used to our temperatures being so cold for so long, and we're seeing these teens hang around for the next couple of days as our lows. So going into Monday morning around 5 a.m., a lot of us will be in those teens, and it'll drop a little bit for some areas, seeing some patchy cloud cover going into the late morning hours. And that's good to note, because then we're starting to see a good deal of those of those roadways that have been ice impacted. We're seeing those start to melt with that sunshine coming back around. So that's good to note as well. So once we get into the afternoon, we'll really be able to see the increase in improvement with those roadways. So how do you think the roads will be coming from Scottsboro to Fort Payne? School closed, Marshall County. Yes, I believe I saw Marshall County roll through our email a little bit ago. Albertville City Schools, Limestone. Let's see. Madison County Schools. I think Limestone is something completely different. You can always check our page as well to see those closures. We have Marshall County. Yes, Marshall County schools are closed. So any more winter weather coming behind the rain? No more winter precipitation, but we are getting some very chilly conditions. You can see here these temperatures are in the teens, and they will stick around from about 7 to 8 o'clock tonight into our Monday morning. And this is 9:30 that we're seeing here. Breeze picks up as well, about 15 miles per hour. So some of our areas could get those single-digit feel-like temperatures with this breeze picking up the way that it is. Roads are still soaked out on Gurley and Grant Mountain. Yes, coming through a lot of these roadways, very slick, and that is a concern that we have. We think it may have a good opportunity to dry most of these roadways out, but we also have a lot of roadways, and you know them in your own neighborhood, that have pooling when we go through heavy rain events. So keep that in mind. You may know better than I do about some of your own backyard areas that you pass through, and you know that it's good for potential flooding. There was one roadway I passed through. It was mainly coming on and off Parkway, getting to 565 as well. Some of those ramps have that water that you can see it making its way around, but there's still some water pooling around some of the sides of it. So be careful as well. If you do feel the need to pull over, also watch where you are pulling your cars over. And this won't be a situation of if you have to pull over due to weather. We're not expecting widespread patchy black ice for the metro area. But if something should happen to your car and you need to pull over, make sure you're watching. Some of those shoulders are also struck with a lot of that water as well. So keeping it through Monday morning, what we are seeing, a lot of our temperatures getting into those 20s, highs expected to be in the mid and upper 20s, but a good part about it, we'll see plenty of sunshine by that point. So getting into that sunshine, getting the clouds kind of moving out of the way for most of the afternoon, mid-morning to afternoon, really. That'll be good for us because we'll start to see whatever patchy ice left behind will start to melt, but we'll still see how things are for Tuesday. That is a good point. Temperatures are still going to be quite chilly going into Tuesday morning. And some folks are concerned about school on Tuesday morning. And I think a lot of our schools folks are thinking about, the boards are thinking about what it would take for them to close the schools, and a lot of these mornings are going to be brutally cold. So it just really depends. Right now, what we're looking at with these advisories, we still have that ice storm warning, and that's through 6 o'clock tonight. And then some areas are already starting to see some of that flood warning there. So some areas are seeing a little bit of flooding. We had about, I want to say that was 1 inch to 2 inches of rain overnight these past couple of hours. So we'll continue to watch how that's going to play out. The roadways are the big portion that we're thinking about here. Let's see. I did see a comment where someone did say, yes, a lot of folks are concerned that roadways are still soaked. We may see that dry out for the most part, but if about 80% of these roadways dry out, we still have that 20%, those areas that pool, that cultivate that water. That's one of our concerns. So this evening, we'll see teens, black ice possible for a lot of areas. And like I said, some of you may know these roadways better than I would in your own neck of the woods. Those areas that you know are prone to having that water after a rain event kind of pooling around. Keep that in mind, and make sure you should also message us as well and say, hey, this is a spot that we know in our own areas compromised when we have heavy rain chances like we did last night into this morning and throughout today. So it'll be cloudy and frigid going into this evening, but I'll pick it back up at 3 o'clock to give you any latest updates that we have. And then I believe we will have a press conference around 3:30, and that's from who? Huntsville will have a press conference, and they may be able to give some better insight for our current businesses and other things that you may need to know going into this as well. So I'll be forecasting for the next 15 or 20 minutes, and I will see you back here in a few minutes. I will see you then.